What up, Insane Rhetoric? What up, Insane Rhetoric? What's up? The world is upside down and we're trying to make it right side up. There has been multiple atrocities since yesterday.
What up, Insane
And
Rhetoric? What up, Insane Rhetoric? What's up?
Sorry, we wanted to hear you again.
there has been so many atrocities on Black people, all in one downfall. It's just amazing that, stuff is happening. So we're gonna get into that. What's up, sister? How you doing?
How you living?
Despite the calamity,
Okay, so
the
King,
abhorrentness.
so if you're younger and you're not a basketball enthusiast, you may not know who I'm talking about. King Charles. We used to call him King Charles on the basketball court.
Mm,
That was back when I used to still watch sports. Because they were good. Oh, I'm sorry. Not sorry. Anyway, so I'm not saying y'all not good today, people. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that it was this generation of people who changed the game.
I mean, I like the old school basketball cast, because they was about sportsmanship. They didn't switch teams for the money all day long. They pretty much where they started, they wind up finishing for the most part.
Yeah.
But now it ain't like that at all. It's all about the paper. It ain't not even about
I
the
think he might
sport
have switched maybe twice right
twice.
at the end, but it
Mm-hmm.
was right at the end of his career.
Mm-hmm.
Him and Drexler.
Mm-hmm. Clyde the Glide.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
no offense, new people that play ball. I watch y'all play good, but like the way y'all play was ushered in by this group of men. Charles Barkley, um, Magic, uh, Julius Irving, uh, and Julius was really just a little above them, but like Charles Barkley.
Dr. J, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, shoot, whole bunch of
Yeah, Julius and Kareem was already like, but Magic, what's his name? Jordan,
mm-hmm.
Barkley, all of them, that group that came right up under them. Because you
Mm-hmm.
had Julius and Jabbar that was already doing their thing that was different from everybody else.
Yeah,
But
that's
then
true.
this group came in and ushered in that level up that
Yeah,
was the right mix with the old school.
yeah, that's
And
true.
you had some dynamic teams
Yeah, back
that
in the day,
that ushered in the way these new cats think they playing.
right. If it wasn't for them, it wouldn't be nothing like that because shoot, they changed the game for the drop step for Michael Jordan. It used to be traveling, but they let him get away with it, and they changed the whole rule on that.
Yeah, that
Like
that part.
so, mm-mm.
I'm not impressed by most people. Anyway, back in the day, we called him King Charles. He was a strong man. He was a strong arm man.
Right, like Dennis.
Oh, okay, we're not gonna get on
Nobody,
Dennis right
nobody
now.
wanted to be in the paint with Dennis.
Yeah,
Nobody wanted to be in. I mean, you can't knock the boy's play game. You know what I'm
the
saying?
boy,
The dude,
the
the
boy could
dude had
play.
more. He had more. He was the top rebounder in the league.
If he
It's
would
just
have just act right a little bit, just a little bit,
not now.
he
See,
would have
I
got
got.
more respect. I think
Yeah,
he's no. I think if he would have act right just a little bit on his personal side, like because he felt disrespected,
it's personal.
and so
It's
yeah.
personal. So if it's something that I do, that's my business. What
No,
I'm
no,
doing
no. But I
on
mean, but the part that I don't know, I don't care about what he was doing on his personal life. What I'm talking about is the part that affected his team playing, the coming in late, the missing practices. It affected his team playing in that the higher ups took aim at him. It took aim at him and they disrespected his game because he really was a
yeah,
phenomenal player.
He was the number one defensive in the league for a long time and a number one rebounder. Didn't nobody want to play no D against that dude or play D. He was
yeah,
the dude.
yeah. Him and Charles Barkley could yeah. But anyway, King Charles. So recently, King Charles changed. He said he was gonna change his will. I'm not personal friends with him, so I don't know if he already did it, but he said he was gonna change his will. So in his will, it stipulates that he will leave $5 million to Auburn University in Alabama. Yeah, that part. They already have a small amount of African Americans who want to go there. He's leaving $5 million. But he said he was going to change his will, y'all. He said he's changing his will to ensure that Black students are able to attend Auburn because of it's because of the Supreme Court ruling
Affirmative action
this past week. Affirmative action has become race neutral.
So break down affirmative action. What does that mean for the viewers who are underage who don't know what affirmative action means? Because we know there are some people out there that don't understand what affirmative action means. So go ahead and just give a quick synopsis of what it means.
So back in the day, okay. So let's make it where they can understand it because they watch movies. They watch movies.
Probably all they do.
Back in the day, in the olden times.
Oh Lord. Swing low.
Okay. Black people were not allowed, and it's not just Black people, y'all. I need y'all to understand that anything that has to do with civil rights was officially because it affected Black people, but it also made it possible for other races who were being disenfranchised to do the same things we were fighting for.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So out in the front was us.
And the Asians was a big part of that because they was working the railroad.
The Asians were a big part of that.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, they got treated a little bit better than us, but it was African Americans who were in the forefront of this. Okay, so the short of it is, we were not allowed as Black people to attend schools that white people were attending, and the tax dollars didn't give us decent schools. Like maybe we didn't have books at all, or if we had books, we had a different edition, an earlier edition. The books were tattered.
You mean like you mean like today?
Yeah, just like today.
Just like today, public schools are not funded because they're inner city schools. They have low accreditation or no accreditation, and yeah, they gets all the wheel call stuff.
Well, it's not. So today, it's not all inner city schools.
Yeah, I'm just coming coming from the point of like where my kids went and some of the things that I experienced. That's what you recognize. So that's where I'm just coming from. But
right. Okay. So today, it is still true that your tax dollars do tell you, or they do tell you what's going to happen in the community. So
absolutely,
if you live in
a rundown neighborhood,
if you live in a rundown neighborhood where
crime is high,
Okay. Crime is high.
I'm just
Taxes are
helping.
lower. People
Lower.
probably can't pay their taxes.
Taxes are lower. They high.
Then you're not going to get certain things unless there's an outside or third party who makes those donations to upgrade those schools. If you live in a community where you probably can pay your taxes, and you do, then those tax dollars go to you, go to your local school. Okay. And they have wonderful things in the school. So for example, I work in a school where Title IV is very important. And that's what this is about, Title IV. Affirmative action comes under Title IV. Title IV is very important. And so in this one school that I'm working in, they have a smart TV, like a huge, very huge, whatever the biggest size of the TV is.
Probably a 78 right now before it goes into projector size.
Okay, it's real huge, and you can put in it. And you have it's on a rolly cart. There's on a rolly stand, and it's a smart TV. I think it's probably bigger than that.
Might be a 90.
And it's on a rolly stand, and you can touch the screen, and you have a little keyboard that's wireless, and you can have all these resources that you could get to in every single classroom. They even had a class when they was getting ready to put them in every classroom. They even had a technician come out and teach them how to use it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And they didn't have one in when they started off the school year. They put one in every class that had a teacher. As the school year it just ended, they put them in every classroom, because the classroom that I work in, it didn't have one. What I do with the kids, I don't need a TV. So where I was physically didn't have a TV until 3/4 away into the year. And then the TV was sitting there and never got used, because what I do with the kids doesn't require me to do it on the TV or to stand in front of them to lecture. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I do intervention work with kids with regards to reading. I can do math too, but I do reading. Okay.
I was gonna say you're an intervention for a kid that has drug problems already.
No, reading, intervention. I typically do 3rd or 4th grade, but like I recently did 1st grade. So like I do reading intervention for whatever the level is of the child. There's different things that have to do with reading that I do. Okay. So the TV is in every room. So this is where you have the difference between the textbooks are brand new in this classroom, but much of this was donated by a third party group that made sure that this particular school had all those things.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Not that the district won't do it or can't afford it. Like they pretty much are a good district. They pretty much are a good district, but they actually are good. This district is better with community help. So they had a third party group that was like, you know what, we're gonna help you. We like what you're doing and we're gonna help you. So we're gonna make sure a TV is in every room. And they did. Okay, so affirmative action is just that. It's about making sure that education is equal on all levels and making sure that every child of every race, creed, nationality, whatever that is in the United States, they are allowed to the same and equal education, and that they are allowed to go to any school that they qualify for on the university level. When I say qualify, the normal qualifications, if you have a 4.0 GPA, then you should be able to go to any school if that's what the qualification is. You should not be held back because you are Black. I'm gonna let the white kid in with 4.0 instead of the Black kid because I don't like Black kids.
Well, they
Now
can't get
listen,
in either. That's why some of the superstars in Hollywood had to buy their way in for their children because they were stupid.
right, that part. So I'm sure that some of the people who were the first Black student of some of these universities are probably, if they are dead, they're turning over in their grave. If they are not dead, they are in horror right now.
Yeah.
Because these people got spat on, kicked, beaten, all spoken to inappropriately
Water
in
hose
order.
down, dogs biting them, all kind of stuff. All the good
They
stuff.
had to have police protection
Yeah.
in order to get an education, to make it better for people like me, Justice Thomas, Clarence Thomas, to make it better for Ketanji Brown Jackson, okay, to make it better for Justice Sonia Sotomayor, okay. So the Supreme Court has just overturned affirmative action, which, by the way, Sonia Sotomayor and Ketanji Brown Jackson dissented, which means they voted no.
No. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And they fired back, blasting guns, verbal guns at the decision. Okay. But what started this recent mess was, and it actually has been going on since I think 2022, Harvard University, North Carolina University, their cases came up in the Supreme Court about their use of the affirmative action clause in Title IV. Okay. Now imagine North Carolina doing this 70 years after the first Black student
Right.
attended. So you went through all of this
And then flipped it like that.
just to get back to where you started.
So you didn't say nothing about I didn't hear you say nothing about the other justice, Amy Coney Barrett. I'm pretty sure she voted for it.
She voted for it.
This is why you need to know who you're voting for and what their stance on certain things is in politics. That's why you need to research. Now, I'm gonna say this. We talk about the catch-22, and the other biggest issue that we've been talking about is what? Abortion. So in one, some people quote unquote win because it's illegal to have abortions now. But now you come on this side and you flip and say, "Oh, we're finna remove affirmative action." So
Okay, so young people, have you seen the recent movie called Marshall
probably not.
with the Black Panther in it?
That's educational. Probably not.
The person you know as the Black Panther, who's now deceased. Okay.
Chadwick Boseman.
Chadwick Boseman played a character in a movie called Marshall.
Very good.
It was about former Justice Thurgood Marshall.
Yeah.
Okay. Thurgood Marshall was a lawyer for the NAACP.
Mm-hmm.
And initially he went around town, went around the United States, and I think abroad too.
Yeah. Go different countries.
He went around the United States trying cases that were usually criminal cases. Black man looked at a white woman, they would send Thurgood Marshall.
Mm-hmm.
Black man stole a chicken, they would send Thurgood Marshall. Okay, we talking about, 30s, 40s, 50s.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
why I'm using the examples I'm using, because these are the, okay. Black man committed a murder, especially of a white person, alleged to have committed a murder of a white person, they sent Thurgood Marshall. He was on his game, y'all. He was on his game. Okay. But then they sent him to do a case that had to do with education. Black children being able to have an equal opportunity to have the books and all of that they needed in their own school. This case was about in their own school. This wasn't necessarily about them. Sorry, y'all. Anyway, watch Marshall. You'll know who Thurgood Marshall is. He turning over in his grave right now because he won the case, famous case, Brown versus the Board of Education.
Yep. Yep.
Which was the thing that it was the case that allowed us as Black, I'm saying us because I'm African American too, that allowed us to.
And I thought you identified as white. Like, I need you to make up your mind.
I'm like Clarence Thomas.
Yeah.
I flip flop whenever I
want. Flip all over the place.
Like a dead fish. Like, okay. So the challenges of the case basically said that they are targeting Harvard and University of North Carolina. They're arguing that those two programs at those two schools violate equal protection principles, dash the promise of the colorblind society, and discriminate against Asian Americans. They are urging the court to overturn precedent that say that the schools should explore further develop race neutral alternatives to achieve diversity.
I mean,
we race neutral. Now okay, that's okay, that's fine, but let me ask you something. Every time we neutral in something, what happens?
Nothing. It's a standstill. Stalemates. That's what the word neutral means.
Here are the 9 states that have already changed their policy. And Texas is actually discussing it right now, y'all. Okay.
Oh, give them 5 more minutes.
Okay, so yeah, right. It's getting ready to happen in Texas. But listen, Arizona, California, Florida, Idaho, Michigan, Nebraska, Oklahoma, and Washington.
Yeah, they had to do it in which Washington, D.C. or Washington State?
State.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm gonna ask my co-host, because I know he got a lot to say. What you think gonna happen next?
It's easy.
What?
Civil rights reversements.
That part.
Jim Crow laws will be in effect. And then you borderlining on the fact of revolutionary wars in the United States. So I think that there's a lot that's going to be taking place because of this act being enacted. There's going to be a lot of rollbacks for a lot of different laws concerning ethnicities of people of color and kindred or whatever. Race is going to be a whole lot of laws rolled back into the areas of Old Testamental laws and things that you supposed to have abolished and got rid of off the books, but have not. So we talk about affirmative action. I think this is a bad idea that the Supreme Court would even consider this and to reverse this law. Man, it further shows how the United States looks at different people, different races that are not European, not white. It just shows you what they think. And for this to happen like this is it's sad. Sad society. Sad. It is very, very sad. So I don't know what's going to happen, but I can tell you this. I do believe that civil rights laws will be recalled. They will be reversed, and we would go back in the days of modern day slavery and different things of that nature. And it just it's horrifying. Horrifying because it's like you fight so hard for something and then all of a sudden it is turned around in an instance by somebody's opinion, you know. And that's all it is somebody's opinion, how they interpret the Constitution is somebody's opinion. It doesn't really make it fact. It's just what somebody spoke about it, how they interpret the the Constitution to be written. It makes no sense. It's just somebody else's opinion of what they think that the Constitution says. So I believe that there will be revolutionary wars real soon, race wars real soon, because a lot of the people that you have in the country now are not the people. Now, don't get me wrong. I ain't saying there wasn't strong people back in the 20s, 30s, 40s, and 50s. Don't get me wrong. But they had to contend with their generation of things that were happening right now. These people now, they ain't going for that easy. So I mean, it's gonna be some issues. Gonna be some issues. I just believe that that yeah, civil rights is next on the chopping block. You have already went down, what is it, three agendas, I think. You done did homosexuality. You done did this new one here. Then, like I said, civil rights is definitely on the list. You know what I'm saying? Because first of all, you think about one of my favorite amendments is the 13th Amendment, where it says that you're only three-fourths of a man. That means that you are below animal status, as blacks. So you ain't even never take that off the books and fix that. So, and I'm gonna tell you, go watch the Netflix series, the 13th Amendment. It'll shock the hell out of you and change your mind about a whole lot of things and the way people see you. So, I don't know. I just, I just, I just think it's horrifying. I think it's, it's an abomination.
So I think it's interesting that white people, yeah, I'm getting ready to say it. I think it's interesting that white people cannot sustain or live unless, and I'm not talking about all white people. So, don't be, don't come at me. But I think it's interesting that white people cannot sustain or live in a society that is not controlling and abusive, um, um, like the Jim Crow. They want to live in a Jim Crow type society, right?
Because they want to be waited on hand and foot. And I'm not saying all, but the ones who do, that's what it is. That's what it comes down to.
But 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 the we had our brother from another mother was on the show said many times, talk about his experience.
And privilege.
Uh-huh. And the thing of it is this. I'm trying to understand why you why some people can't just learn the lesson. Okay, here's the lesson, because Roy Johnson, who is a journalist, and he happens to be African American. Roy Johnson, who's a journalist and a contributor for CNN, he said it best. He put it in great words. Okay, so what he wrote a blog based on this, what has happened, this decision. But the way he says is this. He says, Black people are used to this. Black people are used to this. Okay. I'm not going to read the whole blog to y'all, but he ends it like this. Y'all just. Well, okay, I got to find it, y'all. Hold on. Y'all just take this time. Just listen.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you something. I had a friend of mine tell me at their job they were celebrating the day of Juneteenth. And then when they came in to work, was getting off of work, they was basically saying, some people was arguing why we don't get Juneteenth off, which is a federal holiday, which you should. And one of the white guys in the back said, well, that's not a real holiday. I started laughing at that because I was like, well, neither is the 4th of July. I mean, when it comes down to it, how can you have independence from uh how can you have independence for a people when you came in and annexed the people? That is not independence at all. So technically, neither is the 4th of July.
Yeah.
like
Okay.
like the stupid stuff people say is just like you just say that, oh, that's not a real holiday. Well, neither is the 4th of July, sir. Dude, you came in and brought people in and had people killed to take what they have. That's not independent. I don't know nothing though.
Okay. So he made several points. Roy Johnson made several points of how we adjusted every time white society tried to slam a door. Okay. And he made a reference to his pastor who says this, who likes to say this: we don't make excuses, we make adjustments. They slam the door, we find a key or a window, or we build a new house. When they prohibited our enslaved ancestors from learning to read or write, fearing that it might expose them to ideas of freedom and revolution, when they prohibited large gatherings designed to educate each other, we stole away in clandestine groups and taught ourselves, often from books provided by allies, often from the Bible. That's what Roy Johnson says. He says that the adjustment was when they prohibited us from attending their elementary, middle, and high schools, we built our own, named them after our own, like my own Paul Lawrence Dunbar Elementary in Tulsa, and filled them with our teachers and learned. He says, here's another adjustment. I'm not gonna read all of them, y'all. When they prohibited us from when they refused to allow us into their higher learning institutions, we built those too. My mother was a proud graduate of historically Black Langston University in Oklahoma. I'm gonna give a shout out to my little cousin, Tanner. Congratulations on your graduation, who graduated from the same university. So Tanner, good looking out.
Starts out, Tanner. Good job.
He says that his mother's best friend graduated from Spelman. And both women became teachers who educated generations. He goes on to talk about when they whined about the proliferation of programs designed to affirmative action. Here we go. When they, meaning white people, when they whined about the proliferation of programs designed to affirmatively address decades of slammed doors. So they talked about this in the movie The Bankers as well. Okay. I have the same or better qualifications than a Black person, but you slammed the door in my face, and in many cases don't even allow me to apply. In other cases, you allow me to apply, which is really wasting my time because you're just gonna throw it in the trash. Okay. When they whined about the proliferation of programs designed to affirmatively address decades of slammed doors, not merely at educational institutions, but in public and private employment sectors as well, then in 1978 struck down racial quotas. Okay. They used to get upset because back then affirmative action was you had to actually put a certain amount of Black people in each business, job, school that was a white school. They made you get a certain amount.
And then they flipped that and made money off that because they got money for having those people in those places.
And that's really how affirmative action kind of got muddied. The theory of affirmative action kind of got muddied was because that really wasn't about affirmative action.
No, it wasn't.
Okay, but white people got upset because at that time, they were refusing to follow the law. So they made a law which told them, okay, we're gonna slap you on your wrist. Since you won't do it, we gonna audit your books, and you better have at least this many.
Yep, we gotta.
So it wasn't really about affirmative action, the quotas, but they got all up in arms about it. So Roy Johnson says, we endured in part because that Supreme Court still ruled that race could be among many factors used for admissions. Okay, so you could use race to get somebody in, but it wasn't about that. We still had to have the ACT scores, the SAT scores.
Mm-hmm.
We couldn't be criminals. Like, we still had to have all of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And even if we was criminals, there was a clause for you could still take this criminal in, because how you think you get so many people get a degree behind bars?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So that's what affirmative action was about.
Yeah.
Okay, we're not gonna go into the whole prison thing. I mean, because that's about reform. So we're not talking about reform today.
Which doesn't mean nothing, because reform comes within a person, not within the institution.
Okay. Yeah.
I think you should have a Black, Asian, and Hispanic Supreme Court. Yeah.
Well,
I, once again, I am a firm believer that you should tear down government and rebuild it, because yeah, it doesn't do what it's supposed to do.
okay. So here's the deal. This is what the new ruling actually is talking about. We breaking it down. Colleges and universities can no longer take race into consideration as a specific basis for granting admission. This just came down the last couple of days. We did all of this talking to help you understand what this is saying. Colleges and universities can no longer take race into consideration as a specific basis for granting admission. Now, if you listen to the little voice inside my head, I'm not crazy. I know I've been called crazy before, sometimes 5 or 6 times in a conversation. But they shouldn't have ever took race as a specific basis for granting admission.
No.
It should never have to come to that.
No. Nope.
Here's the thing. I'm with Roy Johnson on this. He's absolutely right. Why haven't you learned your lesson that we still gonna do what we need to do for hours anyway? We gonna figure out how to do it.
Listen, and the reason is this, is because most of them are systematic thinkers. It has to be 1 + 1 = 2, 2 and 2 = 4. But that's not the way Black people think. And that's what you can't bottle up. You can't control that, because the way Black people think is multifaceted. We figure out more than 100 ways to solve one problem. That has been shown since Egyptian times.
But look at how times are different, though, co-host. Look at how times are different. Now you have more white people who don't see things this way anymore. So now we have more assistance. We have more assistance to do those things that we would do to better ourselves. That's one.
I agree with you with that.
Okay. 2, now we have so many people who are we are no longer only nurses and teachers.
Mm-hmm.
We are scientists on a
Everything.
grander scale
We
than Carver, right?
we everything. Yeah, I get it.
We are pilots. We are
Mm-hmm.
we
And that's why I say to you that if anything was to kick off, it won't go like they think it would go back in the Jim Crow times, because you have so many people that are in diverse positions and that have the extra help to do these things and move forward. You can't just put them people in place like that no more. It just doesn't work because the knowledge is too advanced. I agree with you.
for many years spell and a white woman started Spelman. Let me just say this. A white woman
Mm-hmm.
started Spelman for Black women.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but anyway, so listen, you no longer have the Black Ivy League. The Black Ivy League won't look the same.
Mm-hmm.
Howard won't look the same. Spelman won't look the same. Morehouse won't look the same. Fisk won't look the same, right?
Mm-hmm.
And a couple of others that are, and I'm calling them the Ivy League because that's the ones that when you start talking about historically Black colleges, those are the ones that
And
like
stand out first. Yeah.
that stand out first, right? Okay. Now we can build them differently. We can build them bigger. We can add different programs. We can have those that really match toe for toe with Howard.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, we can have those that match toe for toe with Purdue.
Yeah.
Right.
I totally agree with you.
Because now you got Black people that got their money to start the school.
Oh yeah.
Michael Jordan could decide with Charles Barkley could decide with this ruling, we're gonna build a school.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and that's what I'm saying. Like, you can't command the people like that because there are two different types of slavery. There's physical slavery and there's financial slavery. Those are the two main types of slavery. One works better than the other. Financial slavery works better than physical slavery because
Well, I
physical
think you're
slavery.
missing mental slavery.
Well, yeah, mental slavery, yeah, because the ideologies of the way people think. You're right. So those three. So when you say financial slavery, you don't have to be there to actually keep a person impoverished. Physical slavery, you do. You really got to stand over them and actually be there. Mental slavery is like financial slavery. You don't have to be there. You create an idea and a way of thinking to depreciate who you are, then yeah, you're going to keep a person in bondage. So those three things, we have to contend with. And I just don't believe that like Black people now, they are going to go for you one of those categories. I don't believe that at all. That you just gonna just think you just finna just stun people and put them in those type of categories with all the wealth that they have these days and the resources that they have these days. It ain't like it was back in the 20s and 30s, you know what I'm saying, when people couldn't read and couldn't comprehend and understand. Oh, no, it ain't like that at all. So you if they're trying to do that, you have more of a fight against you. That's an uphill battle that's probably not gonna work. That millstone is gonna roll back down the hill and do what it does best. Like Malcolm said, the rooster has come home to roost. That is not gonna work for you. It's it's just not gonna work, you know. So I mean, you got people like Yee right now that just won. What was it, like 700 million or something in a law case? And you think you finna tell this dude what he finna do? You can't tell him what he was finna do when he didn't have a dollar.
And you can argue, that okay, they're gonna create new schools of their own, but they still can't base it on base enrollment on race.
Yeah.
You're right, because that's what the new law of the land is.
Yeah.
But the rules of the school and how we do things and how we hire the people that we put in these positions who are going to allow people to come in, the rules and how we set up those policies can be, you can set that up where you got your hand on that person's neck.
Yeah, you can bend that all day
where
long.
You're making sure that that person is allowing all people into that school.
Yeah, you can bend that. You can bend that.
You can have this rule, and we can and we can make it where that person who's sitting in that admissions chair is actually doing what you claim you want us to do by this new policy.
Yep. And then and some people can do it so well that you'll be like, well, how did this happen? How did this come through? Well, if you look at the rules and the wording of everything and you learn them loopholes, it's just like anything else. So I'm like, hey,
I remember when my brother attended college, when he was deciding which college to go to, and he was accepted into a prestigious college, very prestigious college, very okay. I told y'all before, my brother was a genius, for real. He didn't even have to look at his books to make A's. I'm just, my brother was a genius.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so but at the time, he chose to go to the Ivy League black school that was meant for, it was known for nursing, teaching, and engineering. Mm-hmm. The world pulled black engineers. From there. If they pulled them from Texas, they pulled them from there. Mm-hmm. Okay, Prairie View University. Okay, back in them days when he went off to college, that was one of the places that was renowned for pulling black engineers. Other than these big places, these. And I got another cousin who went to that school I'm talking about. Okay, she was out of Chicago. She went to that school I'm talking about. Only had 3 letters. It was known by its 3 letters. It wasn't known by the whole name. It's known by its 3 letters.
And we know what that letter. If I'm shooting for the stars, I already know what it is. MIT.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Listen, y'all. You can't stop us. I know that you watch the news and you see those who have given up because they shooting, they killing, they robbing.
And they listen, don't do that. Don't do that. They ain't gave up.
No.
They ain't gave up. They just gotta do what they gotta do in their instance because some people.
I understand that. We had a whole show about that. I understand that. But I still say that in doing what we have to do, you've given up in trying to figure out how to get out of your situation. You got to do what you got to do. I've done what I've had to do. Listen, I've done what I've had to do. I've done what I had to do. It wasn't no shooting and killing and robbing, but I done some things.
It ain't no different than white people shooting, killing, and robbing.
What make you think I'm not saying they done gave up too?
I didn't say that. Okay. You didn't hear me say that.
I think anybody that does that, there's a part of you that has given up. And you see so many, Charles, what's his name? Charles S. Dutton makes no secret about his criminal activity, makes no secret about his education behind bars, right? He makes no secret about it. Like you ain't got to guess. Charles S. Dutton, famous Black actor. He was in a show called Rock.
I remember.
Writer, producer, director, actor. Okay. Makes no secret about the horrible things in which he did to land him behind bars.
I mean, but that's the thing. Once you get to a point where you accept who you are, that's what propels you to greatness, because then can't nobody hold nothing over your head.
But he came to an understanding that his mind was free, his body was imprisoned.
Right.
That's what I'm talking about giving up. Your mind is free though, regardless of all the crap people throw at you. Your mind is free. Yeah. So while you doing whatever you do, hey, no judgment. I just hope y'all don't do it to me. Don't rob me, shoot me, kill me. Don't do all of that to me.
Because she's gonna be like Riley on the Boondocks. Back at you.
Okay. No judgment on you doing, you living a depressed life. People got their neck on you. I mean, their hand on your neck, whatever. The man got you. I got you. But your mind is free.
I mean, like, I agree, man. Like, I'm just, my thing is with it, what is it with people that you just feel that you want to oppress people so bad? Usually, I have come to the point in understanding is that you feel that them people are better than you.
Right. Or it's something
that you want from them. You know what I'm saying? And my thing is, hey, it ain't nothing you could do about that. Yeah, I mean, because like I say, we learn something, we do it better than the next. It doesn't matter. Our swagger is through the roof. Whatever we put on looks good on us. Hey, you know what I'm saying? You can't stop our mind, our way of thinking. That you tried to do that with Reaganomics in the 80s. Yeah, we produced a lot of crazy kids, but yeah, they are really running the world because the millennials is what came out of the 80s. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, so you think about all this stuff that you tried to do and it started to backfire on you. You introduce heroin into different neighborhoods, and then your neighborhood wind up being addicted more than most, like normal. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, these things, you if you ain't caught on yet, everything that you try to do turns and backfires on you. When it comes to us, it just doesn't matter. Like I said, he said it. You know, we find ways to get around things. We find ways to make it better and improve upon our situation. You know, and said somebody said to me, black folks are the most forgiving people. They are, but then even in that, you got to take that with a grain of salt because shoot, we gonna make a way out of no way. That's just how we're built. When you oppress a people like that so long, they gonna make ways to get around and ease the oppression in some shape, form, or fashion. It's just
Let me tell you something.
Just what it is.
White people are afraid of a black person like me. Let me tell you why I say that. I just told this story to somebody else. Years ago, I had a career in technology.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't go to school for it. I was hired, let me tell y'all how I got into technology. I took a job as a receptionist. Actually, I was working for a temp agency. So I was taking a lot of different jobs.
Mm-hmm.
But this temp agency placed me as a receptionist. And the person that was my supervisor, there was a computer, old CTR computer
Mm-hmm.
at my desk. The first computers as we know it, y'all, it was on my desk.
Right.
But I had to walk about 100 feet down the hall to the suite, to a different suite in our department to use the typewriter.
Mm-hmm.
This is what my supervisor wanted me to do.
Mm-hmm.
This is what she did. She used the typewriter. Okay. But the computer was sitting at my desk.
Mm-hmm.
I happened to be working in a department at a university that taught computing technology
Mm-hmm.
with regards to business. One of the professors wrote a textbook for his class. So I walked into his office and I said, Dr. So-and-so, may I read one of those books? Which one? The white man asked. That one right there, the one you just wrote for your class, for your intro to computing class, that one. You want to read this book? Yes, may I please? Why do you want to? Yes, you may, but I'm curious. Why do you want to read that book? I said, well, I got this computer on my desk. And so wants me to walk down there to the other suite to type up my correspondence. And I want to use this computer right here. I don't want to upset her, but it doesn't make sense
Right.
for me to walk way down when I got this computer.
We're sitting right here.
He looked at me in awe, as white people do. He gave me the book. I taught myself how to use the computer, and I started doing all my correspondence.
Right there.
Right there.
I'm finna keep getting up, walking down, typing in.
We had a computer lab in that college, in that department, in that particular college of something, right? So the person who was in charge of that computer lab heard the story that I had taught myself how to use that computer. They came to my desk and said, I need you to officially apply for this job in my department because I think you would be a really good fit. White man.
Mm-hmm.
So I applied for the job. He gave me the job. I became in charge of that college of something's computer lab.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. He said, since you taught yourself how to do it, can you teach others? I want you to do some technical documentation to go along with your classes. I didn't really know what that was, but I did it anyway. I figured it was tell him how to point and click. That's what he wanted.
Mm-hmm.
And I came up with these lot of different classes for all the different stuff that was back then. Word Perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Microsoft had just barely come out.
Yeah.
Okay. Lotus.
Oh my God. MS-DOS. MS-DOS.
I created in the lab, I created little cheat sheets, little information sheets.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you could go into these little different cubbies that were labeled. If you reached into this cubby, it might be how to do something very basic on the computer. If you reached into this cubby, it might be some little thing in Word that you might need to know how to do. So I created all these little things. Okay. Windows 95 came out.
I remember that.
And my boss at that time, the white man had retired, and he had hired this black chick, really smart. She said, you're going to continue to be this, but you're now going to learn networking. Well, he actually had sent me to networking right before he retired. He had sent me to a Microsoft class right before he retired. And she said, you're going to continue to do this, but now you're going to add networking to it. So now I learned how to run the wires through the walls and through the floors. And I learned to fix and replace one hard drive for another.
Yep.
Okay. Like that.
Running
right.
Cat 5 wire.
Right. Listen, this was when Cat 5 wire wasn't even Cat 5 wire yet. Okay. Okay. Before the white man left, he said, you know, I want you to create a resource page for our African American students on the internet. So I had to learn HTML coding. I didn't have GoDaddy.
Right. Wix wasn't available.
Right. I had to actually learn
how to code.
There wasn't a Dreamweaver yet.
Nope.
Okay.
Dreams were still being weaved.
I did it all from either reading a book by myself or following behind someone who had some certain information, especially when it came to the networking part. They would have some information and I'd be following behind them with a notebook. What you say? And I write that down. Then I would go back and study those notes. And then I would figure out how to do what they was telling me I needed to do. This is the kind of thing that white people are afraid of.
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying, because I'm on the other end of that spectrum. All right, I grew up in a household where that's all we did was computers, play chess, and read books and all that type of stuff. It's funny. My stepfather built computers from the ground up. He would get on the internet, he would build the computers, and then he would put in the programs. My oldest brother programmed computers. Never went to school for that. Read books on it. Never went to school for it. So I had the best of both worlds in the house. So needless to say, I can build a computer. I can program a computer. Just by what they taught. You know what I'm saying? Didn't have to go to nobody's university for that. Didn't have to go to nobody's trade school for that. And then I'm one of them people that just reads books. So it just flowed that way. It was like, man, come on, man. You can't beat that type of a system. And I understand, because like I said, hey, it's crazy just in how stuff works. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, like, you can't stop that. You can't stop progression when progression wants to keep going. You just can't stop it. You fighting an uphill battle, like I said. So
you can't stop a people from progressing, regardless of what you do.
No.
When, like Roy Johnson said, our ancestors taught themselves to read out of the Bible. They would be hunkered down somewhere where Missy and Master couldn't see them. Sometimes little Missy might be in there teaching them from the Bible.
Yep. I had grandfather on my father's side, never could read, just never could read at all. Taught himself how to read. No outside help. You know what I'm saying? And that's some of the things where I pick up some of the things that I do. Like, I never went to a music class, but I taught myself how to play every instrument that I know how to play. You know what I'm saying? So it's in the blood. When you want that drive to go learn something, you'll figure out the things that you have to do to learn those things. And this is the funny thing about it. All the stuff that I know, I have never learned from a university. I have learned from either being around people, picking up, like you said, little notepads, mental notepads, and taking it and find, oh, how you do that? How you do this? How you do that? And like that's it. It's just like you want to know something, you'll sit down and you'll learn what you need to
Right.
know it. It's
And
just
you can't you can put in, you can try to reverse everything you want to reverse.
and it still ain't gonna stop that person.
It's still not going to stop
The process.
the process of learning, growing, continuing, and fighting for what
Yeah. It's
is is right.
it
Like,
just won't happen.
yeah, it's not. I'm sorry, y'all. Not sorry.
Yeah,
All right.
like I mean, I think that people were stupid for even trying to consider that because, that doesn't affect the mind of people who have drive to go do what they want to do. Like I know guys who have obtained their law degree behind bars. Some of my people that some of my friends that like they might be on their way out pretty soon and they have law degrees. And guess who paid for it? The state.
Yeah.
They
So now what you gonna do? You gonna stop that?
You can't stop that.
You
State paid
just
for
made
it.
the law where you can't discriminate. You
That
just
yeah,
said,
you know what I'm saying? I got friends of mine who are learning engineering inside of a penitentiary. That's on their way out. Can't stop it. And then the killing part about it is because they may have certain type of felonies, you won't hire them. But these are the type of guys who actually didn't even finish high school, let alone middle school, that are brilliant dudes and that will
but
create their own companies behind that.
because all you need is money to create your own company.
That's it. That's it. I got a friend who is a realtor. He's a real estate agent. And the dude never finished middle school. He has made the Forbes list twice. Twice. Forbes in real estate.
Whatever your insecurities are, it's minuscule. It's minuscule to the brilliance and the competency of African Americans, Asian Americans, Hispanic Americans,
Anybody.
anybody. It is minuscule. Minuscule. Your insecurities are minuscule.
Yeah, because only one person can stop another person. Only you can stop you. Can't nobody else stop what you doing if you believe that you can do it. The will of a person is one of the strongest things that you can have. Like I say, man, like it just makes no sense. You know what I'm
What
saying?
Smokey the Bear say? Smokey the Bear say, only you can prevent forest fires.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well,
Mm-hmm.
only you can prevent you.
You. Yep. I mean, you think about cats like Miles Davis, who had all them struggles and dealing with all the stuff that he had to deal with, man, that dude still was phenomenal. Phenomenal. You know what I'm saying? Just like we ain't even gonna talk about the musicians of that age. You know, like just to give jump off of black people, music wouldn't even be where it is if it weren't for people like that that had endurance.
Yeah.
But I know music, so because that's what I do. But yeah, no, you crazy. So you can do what you want to do. You can write the paper how you want to write the paper, but that don't mean everybody gonna follow the rules of the paper.
Yeah, that part.
Like
That part.
it don't mean that.
Yeah.
Because even so, rules are meant to be broken. That's how records are made. Because sometimes you gotta break rules to break records.
Yeah. It's it's DNA coded.
Yep, and that's one thing you can't change is Dana.
It's DNA coded. You can say that you're doing this because because you feel like your white children are being discriminated against, but then you have people like the Felicity actor that is buying her way into a school that her child really doesn't want to go to because it was her child that ratted her out. It was her child who was on Instagram talking about this what I'm doing at school. Nothing. It won't matter because my mama paid for me to get in here. It was her
Get in
child.
here.
It was her
Yep.
dumb child that ratted her out.
Yep. 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 Exactly. And there is when something it just makes no sense. When something is given to a person, they don't appreciate it like it's when it's earned. Big difference. You trying to buy your way into universities? Oh well, that's on you. But shoot, they ain't gonna appreciate it. They gonna flush that right down the toilet, and you gonna have a $250,000 worth of debt on something that somebody wasn't interested in. You try to live through your kids, that doesn't work. Good try, but that doesn't work. You ready to go?
Yeah, take us out of here, co-host.
All right, you can hit us up on Facebook, Instagram, and all those other platforms. You can check us out on any place where you can get podcasts. So, just look up Insane Rhetoric and just remember to enjoy the ride that is Insane Rhetoric. We out.
Bye.